Hey there, Fiverr community. Happy Thursday and welcome to our Facebook Live event today. We're really happy to have you all joining us. I'm going to be talking with Michael Lam here, who is a Fiverr seller of chatbot services. And we're going to be having a conversation today about the world of chatbots, kind of what chatbots can be doing for your business, how best to take advantage of this opportunity, and field some of your questions too. For these Facebook Lives, we love engaging with you all. We love hearing your feedback and input. So please do us a favor and comment with questions that you might have. We'll be saving some time at the end of the chat here to answer those. And if you're liking our content, shamelessly, we'd love to have you like and share this around because that helps us get discovered and just grows the Fiverr community. So by way of introduction, myself, I'm Whit Walker, and I'm a category manager at Fiverr. That means that I oversee some of the categories on the site and help manage the different products and services that are available. I'm here speaking with Michael today because I'm the category manager for the chatbots category, the newest subcategory on Fiverr's site. And we've recently been able to bring Michael over. He's an experienced chatbot developer. He came over as part of a partnership that we had with Motion AI, a development technology that helps developers to create chatbots. So Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into chatbot development.
Awesome. Well, first, what I want to personally thank you and the entire Fiverr organization for inviting me on this stage. It's awesome to be here. I feel honored to have a chance to talk about chatbots. I'm a big evangelist of chatbots. I think it's a great time to talk about it, especially with small businesses, hearing chatbots in the mainstream media and being able to understand the benefits of a chatbot within your business and making that part of your strategy can be really a game changer. And to developers, those that are watching on this channel, if you're thinking about adding chatbot development skills to your arsenal of tool set, no better time to do it. Chatbot development skills are in demand right now. So yeah, so how did I get started into chatbots? Well, a couple of years ago, I co-founded GoHire, and it's a company that specializes in HR. It was meant to help provide job seeker acquisition strategies to employers. And we originally had a job board called for GoJobs. And GoJob was meant, just like any job board, you would go in, type in a keyword, and look for a job. And we noticed early on in our company that people were just bouncing. People would come to the website and weren't really active on the website. And we didn't understand why they were doing that. So what we did is, well, let's put in a live chat. So we would hook up a system where we can just literally talk to the visitors as they came on a website. And what we found out when we found out was people would come in and type in, and I would introduce myself and say, hey, Mike. Hey, I'm Mike. I'm a recruiter. How can I help you? And they would type long-winded sentences. They would say, hi, I'm Kaydoh. I'm looking for part-time jobs in Louisiana. Right? They could type that in themselves, part-time job as a keyword, and Louisiana as a location, and click search to find jobs that are available. But they would prefer to talk to me. So we sat back and said, wow. So we were getting all of this engagement from people willing to talk to us. So we said, how can we scale and automate this? And then that got us into chatbots. And that was about a year ago, about a year and a half ago. And then from doing that, we started working with enterprises. And working with enterprises, there's obviously the red tape that you have to walk through. There's a lot of compliance that you'll have to make sure your system is up to speed or up to compliance. And there's a lot of things that a lot of loops you have to jump through.
Right. Not at all like what the community of doers that we're all about is about. We're about people of action.
Right. You just get stuff done.
That's right. That's right. And I think that you hit on something there and how you kind of came to be involved with chatbots, which was kind of by necessity. And you said a couple of things about scale and about automation and about capturing customer feedback. And so with this being such a new space, I'm sure a lot of the visitors out here who are watching would be interested to understand a little bit more about kind of what are some of the big use cases that can be really tangible for them as ways that chatbots can help out their business.
Sure. So let's first define what a chatbot is, right?
Yes, thank you so much.
So for the audience, a chatbot on the simplest form, it's a program or software that can auto reply to messages. That's it, right? But the mainstream media will throw in saying it's AI, it's very intelligent, and it is and it can be, but there are two levels of chatbots. There's rule-based and there's AI. And I don't think this is the platform we'll go deep into this, but chatbots themselves, all it is just auto replies to messages.
Essentially, it's like a smart form, if you will, that help capture user information and spit out common responses or handle routine tasks.
Right. So common use cases are, for example, if you are scheduling, booking reservations, those type of use cases where you don't have to have someone on the phone to do this. A computer can do that for you. So someone, if you have a restaurant and you do have, for example, open table available, but you don't want to have anyone on the other line to book these reservations for you, a chatbot can live on a website. Ask, what's your name, what location, what time do you want to come in, and the system can automatically book that for you without you having to hire someone to do that. So in terms of scalability and growing your business, a chatbot will help you do that.
Great. So it sounds like it's a fantastic way to kind of get help with automating a lot of routine tasks or frequently asked questions and that sort of thing. Right. Help the viewers understand a little bit more about how it's different from maybe an app or a website.
Oh, great question. Great question. Because a chatbot is not an app in itself, right? So a chatbot, again, is a system to auto-reply to messages. So an app and a website, a chatbot can live inside both of those systems. Okay. So a website can live on its own, and you can plug in a chatbot that provides an engaging element to your website.
Gotcha.
Right? And one of the biggest demographics of consumers right now are the millennials, and they expect to have some form of connection to the brand that they purchase. So if you're a website and you are wanting to optimize and create that connection, by default of a chat bot, you will have a mechanism to create an engaging element to your website.
Okay. And for those who are just joining us, I'm sitting here with Michael Lam, an experienced chatbot developer and Fiverr seller. We're talking today about chatbots and kind of giving you the 101 about how your business can best benefit from using chatbots. Michael, we were just talking about kind of where chatbots can live, and you said that they can live in-app or on a website. Right. I also hear messaging platforms as well.
Perfect. So that is part of the app, and it's good that you bring this up because the fact that it can live in an app, as a small business who may not have the resource to design a mobile application that can live both on iOS or Android and maintain 2 sets of code and have to worry about security and having people download it, a chatbot can automatically live inside a messenger app. Okay. A message app itself. So Comscore does this marketing analysis in terms of trends, and they came out saying the top 15 most popular apps that people use on a daily basis. Number 1 is Facebook app. Number 2 is Facebook Messenger. So it makes sense from a business perspective to get closer to the end users, to the business, or to your buyers, is to put a chatbot in Facebook Messenger. Put it on your social business page so you can converse and have that engagement with your potential buyers. Okay,
that's great feedback. And so it sounds like chatbots can provide scalability both in terms of service, but also kind of like touch point, because it can live on an app, it can live in a website, it can help you reach your customers across a variety of different platforms within just the same functionality without having to duplicate your efforts. Right.
It's always on, it's always available. That's what's great about it. You never have to worry about leaving your business on or walking away from your business. You always have a bot ready and willing to engage on any visitor that comes to your business.
Okay, that's great. And you had you kind of mentioned scheduling as like a common use case. In your development work, what other types of things have you seen out there that the chatbots are really helping people out with?
Good question. Lead capture is by far the most inquiries that I get from my business. Is businesses out there are looking to how can they optimize lead capture, right? And when you look at it on a traditional standpoint, a lead capture is where you go on a website and a pop-up comes up and says, put your first name, last name, your email, and subscribe to the newsletter, right? That's a potential of a lead capture, or maybe has a few inputs to ask a few pre-qualified questions. Well, that's traditionally, and it's a bit dull, it's not engaging.
Yeah.
So with a chatbot, you can subtly ask those questions, but not so directly, not so bluntly. So for example, you can introduce yourself. You can say, hi, I'm Jerry. I'm a chatbot for this business. How are you? And the visitor can respond, I'm doing fine. And the bot can reply, well, it's great you're doing fine. What kind of service are you interested in? So you can start the conversation right away and immediately is engaging, right?
Personalized.
And you're personalizing it, you're giving information away. And there's techniques you can do, for example, where as you go through the conversation, you can design the chatbot to say, oh, by the way, in case we get disconnected, can I have your email so I can reply back at a later time? They'll be more inclined to give that email. They already built a relationship. They don't feel like it's spammy at all.
Right.
So you can design your chatbot to get lead information much easier. The barrier is lower.
Great, great. That's a really interesting point too about how you can use the dynamics of conversation to guide people and kind of allay any fears or hesitations they might have, personalize like the voice of your brand a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And for those of you joining us, if you're liking what you're seeing, please feel free to provide comments, questions. We'll be trying to save some time at the end for that. And also, feel free to like and share as you see fit. Now, Michael, what are some of the industries that you've seen as early adopters of chatbots, and what do you see as ones where you see, a lot of opportunity to take advantage of kind of this scale of communication and for, handling kind of the routine tasks?
Great question. Pretty much any industry right now you can think of, if they don't have a chatbot, for sure they're putting money behind it in researching for one. So the fact that if you're on the other end here, you're a business watching our show right now, you're doing the first step already is engaging in this news technology. You have retail, you have the food industry. One I just recently used actually is called Domino's. They have a chatbot out there on the Motion AI platform where it makes it incredibly easy to reorder your pizza. Think about it on a chatbot, once it captures information about you, it's persistent and it remembers you, and you have this relationship already. So when I go back to the chatbot and I say, I want to reorder what I ordered last week, it's going to know that, and within one click, I just got my pizza ordered without me going to a website, signing on, choosing the pizza all over again, or calling, right? Millennials now don't call. They like to text message. So it's important that you go where the millennials are. That's the demographic.
Yeah, and so you brought up like a really good use case in terms of like the Domino's, but that's a very large company, right? In terms of like scaling this down and not overcomplicating what chatbots are, help us to give the viewers a little bit of understanding of like maybe what they should shy away from and not be focused on in terms of developing their first chatbot and starting to utilize this new technology for helping their business to scale? Right.
Great question, because you have to be careful, just like with any new technology, is don't go overboard. Take away the bells and whistles. And I'm a strong believer in MVP, your minimal viable product. What is the minimal feature or functionality you want to do to test out to see if it will work? With a chatbot, you don't have to try to build everything to it. You don't have to replace your entire mobile application. Just focus on one small thing that you believe can be optimized. For example, just doing scheduling, right? If you're hiring someone to do scheduling, you can actually have a chatbot that just does that. It asks for its name, its email, set up the actual date of the appointment. That can be all done through a chatbot, and keep it that way. Just keep it clean and simple.
Keep it clean and simple is the message at the start, and then as you get more comfortable with it, and you can build it out further for other functionality.
Absolutely. Once you prove it out that it's working, it's exactly what you want, you're comfortable with this technology, then you can tack on to more aligning features within your business.
Cool, cool. So you've brought up some really interesting points about how people are engaging overall, both in terms of like usage of Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and, so many of the different platforms out there. Talk to us a little bit about kind of what are those major channels people are using, and if it's how it works to develop for one channel versus the other, or like just in general how they can what they can be thinking about utilizing for their chatbot.
Yeah, so the chatbot again can be on a messaging app. So not just Facebook Messenger, it can be on WeChat, it can be on Telegraph, it can be on other
Slack,
messaging apps,
yeah.
Slack, exactly. It can live on a website, any website. As long as your site has JavaScript enabled, you can do that. It can even live in SMS. So when you think about those 3 channels, those are probably the most popular channels. And again, going back to the studies that are shown, the most popular apps people are using are some form of messaging app. So again, going back, if you're wanting to try out an app and you want to hit a big pool of potential buyers, Facebook Messenger is the place to go. And if you can understand that it can live on a messaging app, it can live in SMS, and it can live on website, then when you have an opportunity for a chatbot to speak on all those channels and still have the same set of data information, so the person can carry the conversation from a web chat to Facebook Messenger to even SMS. So it becomes a really powerful
And that
technology.
sounds crazy. Like that sounds like that should be really complicated, but all of that can be done with like just a single instance development.
Yes, you can use not all bot
Even
development
like kind of within an MVP, essentially, right? We want to keep it focused down.
You can do that in a simple form, absolutely. With Motion AI, you have the ability to replicate the bot over different platforms that have the exact same bot in all those channels.
So you've been working with one developer, they can help you set it up across the channels.
Absolutely.
And it'll function all there. So that's a really great point that I hope everybody picked up on, is that in terms of being able to offload a lot of the work that you've got and routine tasks, chatbots can be a great way for you to kind of have an omni-channel presence essentially without a whole lot of development costs and with working with one developer. So that's a big pro for doers. Let's see here. So we've talked a lot about kind of what things, the foundational elements of chatbots. Talk to us a little bit about kind of the development process, if you will. A lot of viewers are, maybe hearing about chatbots for the first time, and let's set the table for what they can expect, kind of what the building blocks are for developing a chatbot.
Right. So a chatbot, just like any software development cycle, you need to have some form of spec. So as a buyer who wants a chatbot, you should come prepared and be clear on what problem you're trying to solve. Because that, from a developer standpoint, that's the question they would ask: is what are we trying to achieve here? And to look and to evaluate, is a chatbot the right technology? The developer will help assess that for you to see if that is the right technology to solve that problem. And if you have a script ready, that also helps the bot development process, because once you have the spec and you understand the problem, the next step is to do what I call like a screenplay. You can't have the chatbot without the actual script, and the script is how the bot will respond, introduce itself, how to handle unexpected questions. So having a script ready for that will take some time to go over with the buyer and the developer, and once that's ready, then you have to market it. And one thing I want to point out is, the chatbot itself will not self-market itself. So there needs to be a strategy from the business perspective. Is if you're going to put a chatbot on Facebook Messenger, just because you did that doesn't mean all of a sudden traffic will come in. You'll need a strategy of promoting the Facebook page and getting people to it. But once you get people to it, then that's when the chatbot engages with the users once they send a message. Okay,
great. So I think you started a lot of different points here to unpack a little bit. And the first one that I heard was begin kind of with the end in mind, like come with that concrete goal, that MVP that we've talked about, that kind of very focused set of parameters around what you want to have the chatbot do. And the second one was this conversation script. And the conversation script, is it appropriate to think of the conversation script kind of as a form that somebody might fill out, or like but just in conversational language? Is that more or less what we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's one of the challenges of bot developer is how to appropriately convey the script or render the script. What I like to use is something like draw.io. It's like a flow chart. It's different funnels and how the script will flow. You need to have an introduction, and then you need to provide what services the chatbot will offer. As you're building it for developers who are looking to build chatbots, you have to tell people what is it that you offer. You can't expect the buyer or the visitor to know what the chatbot does. So it's important as you do the script, have an idea of what you want to offer, say that in a conversation, provide that in a menu-like item or how you design the script itself, and design different funnels of how you want to bring people to different areas of your chatbot.
Okay. So kind of the funnels that will get them to the various piece of information you'd like to provide, or the end result of like the booking or the customer service. Like have an understanding of where you're looking to direct the people.
Yes.
That's kind of what will take place within the conversation script.
Absolutely.
Cool. So beyond having that firm goal and having an idea of how the conversation script would go, which it sounds like would be co-developed with the developer, what other things go into, should a buyer come prepared with in order to have a successful chatbot development experience?
Right. It's primarily coming in with an first understanding what a chatbot is. If you don't know what that is, then your expectations may be really, really high or really, really low. It's important that the buyer, again, by you on the other end watching this channel, you're doing the first step is just educating yourself what a chatbot is. So it's great you're doing that. You come prepared with a script, ideally. If you don't have one, the bot developer will provide it. And a strategy on how to use the chatbot. I think that's very critical. Is not just once you have the chatbot, is then how do you incorporate it into your business strategy?
Yeah, and I think that your point about the marketing piece was also a very good one as well. About it's not going to solve the business problem. You still will need to direct people and get them engaged with it, right? In order to help handle the load and for the chatbot itself to be able to really be used to its highest benefit.
Right.
So let's talk about here, we talked, I think, about the fundamentals use cases, some of the industries using it, kind of the development process. In terms of benefits, and you might have touched on some of them, but engaging with new audiences, what are some of the additional benefits that you've seen that people in their businesses get from utilizing chatbots?
Yeah, I think one of the key benefits is for businesses to scale without having to increase overhead. I mean, the fact that it can automate tasks that traditionally you would hire someone for, you can have a chatbot do that. So for small businesses and people in business on Fiverr, this is a great time to expand your business without having to incur that expensive cost. And a chatbot itself, if you're a business that's not mobile friendly, just by using a chatbot, you're instantly mobile first because you can put a chatbot in a messaging app.
Wow.
You don't have to download an app. And I think that's also a very important point to make, is that you're riding the coattails of very popular apps that you can embed yourself in. So if you're Facebook, there's 2 billion people on Facebook. It's widely used. So if you put your chatbot on Facebook Messenger, you just knock down that barrier of having someone to download your mobile app, then use your mobile app. You would have to market your mobile app. You don't have to do that. Instead, you market your Facebook business page, but all of the security compliance, updates, whether the buyer has enough space to download the app, it's all there. It's already done before for you. Right.
That's an amazing point, because you're riding the coattails of the most popular apps in the world, some of the most ubiquitous brands now in the world, and you're going essentially to where the buyers already are, and I would think be able to target more effectively or reach new audiences more effectively than perhaps having to fight it out kind of in the app store or on the web at large.
Right. You look at it on a strategic standpoint. On Facebook, right, people rave about Facebook advertising, right? But if you take away the chatbots from it, then you're advertising on Facebook hoping that they click on your website and navigate to your website and make a purchase. But if you have a chatbot in it, you can actually advertise the chatbot within Facebook and have them message your business, and they don't move from Facebook. They stay there, and you can have them make a purchase within Facebook.
Yeah, and just start interacting with you.
Exactly.
Start with that relationship.
Exactly.
That's a great point. So now, thank you all for watching. If you guys are just joining us, I'm talking with Michael Lam, who is a chatbot developer on Fiverr. Thank you all so much for joining us. And we've kind of gone through thus far kind of the development process, kind of a brief overview of what chatbots are, how best to use them, and now I'd like to start taking some of the questions that we've got from the community. And so one of the questions that's come from the community, and thank you all very much for submitting these. The engagement is great. We absolutely love that. Is what are some ways that chatbots can help businesses that aren't intuitive and kind of more creative? What are some creative instances that people have used chatbots that you've seen?
So I'm assuming this is a business that isn't, I would say, mobile first. It's a business that may be like a mom and pop shop business. So again, with a chatbot, you're instantly mobile first just by the nature of having that. So the demographic of people who are going to be the next 10 to 15 years are expected to be mobile friendly, expecting to have some type of engagement to your brand. By you putting a chatbot on it, you already provide that mechanism to engage with your buyers. So it doesn't matter whether your website or your business doesn't have the fancy technology tools. A chatbot doesn't require much to put on a website. Okay,
so it sounds like your response is a little bit like one of the most creative instances is deploying a chatbot for a business that's very like brick and mortar.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily technology forward because it's going to allow them to skip a lot of development processes from website apps, et cetera. And with this simple tool, these simple lines of code, they can really evolve their business quite. And that is pretty creative, man. I like that.
That is absolutely right. You skip these levels of stuff. Prior to this, you didn't have that. You couldn't do that, or you had to spend a lot of money to do that. With a chatbot, you don't. Even if you don't have a website, but you're strong on Facebook, put it on Facebook Messenger. You don't need a website. You can do the transaction on the chatbot. So absolutely.
Great. And that brings up another question, and this one's going to be a little bit open-ended because, of course, if you're working with a company like Domino's, these things would be a lot more expensive than working with mom and pop. Mm-hmm. But kind of help us set an expectation of a range of costs for developing something on a couple of different channels. The high quality chatbot.
Yeah, it really depends on,
or at least just how to think about the pricing.
Yeah, it's based on the complexity of the chatbot. You do have to be realistic. Like, are you expecting the chatbot to do many different things, or maybe one simple thing? If it's just a lead capture chatbot that just asks for first name and last name and takes that information, puts it into the MailChimp, you're talking about anywhere from $50 to like $100, depending on the bot developer, whether they have a template in place.
Okay.
If you're talking about a chatbot that needs to connect to your Salesforce, and then when a lead comes in, sends an SMS text message to you, and then also does scheduling, then you're talking about much bigger project, so it's much more expensive than that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just I guess not surprisingly, complexity is the name of the game in terms of cost and everything there.
Absolutely.
So in terms of additional use cases for chatbots, aside from kind of fulfilling frequently asked questions, what other kinds of things are out there? This one's coming from the community.
Right. So actually, I didn't talk about frequently asked questions, but that is a very common use case. Is what you call L1 customer support. These are businesses who hire people to answer questions that are generally found already on the website. Like, you call in a support and asking about warranty information. A chatbot with NLP would be able to answer and look up warranty information. So a FAQ chatbot is commonly used for customer support. You have scheduling, reservation, even the travel industry, booking hotels or booking airplane tickets. That's actually possible. I believe Expedia is doing something like that. But with small mom and pop shops who offer, who may not have the resource to have a website, but have selected items to showcase, they can put that within a chatbot and provide different mechanisms on purchasing with PayPal or Square, these other services that you can do. So again, with a chatbot, you're not restricted, and you're not required to invest a whole lot of money on other services where traditionally you would have to if you didn't have a chatbot that lived in, for example, Messenger.
Great, great. All right, so we're kind of butting up against time here. We really thank everybody for taking the time. We're going to go out with one last question here, and then we'll be able to provide a little bit of information at the very end. But from the community, it was asked, is Fiverr going to be using chatbots anytime soon? And I think we can jointly be proud to say that yes, we are. We're going to be adding one to our Facebook fan page here, and Michael is working with us on the development of that. So we're really happy to be working together. And Michael, if you would, why don't you tell the viewers here what your Fiverr username is, and so that they can find your gigs.
Perfect. You can hit me up on Michael Lam 925. That's my Fiverr account. And if you have any questions, I'm not just there to sell my gigs. If you're a buyer and you want to if you have questions about whether use case is appropriate, just hit me up. I'll be more than happy to discuss that with you. If you need help evaluating services, I'll be more happy to do that. Again, I'm here to help build out this Fiverr community in terms of the chatbot space. You can always hit me up on LinkedIn. Look me up on chatbot-hero. That's me.
Cool. And I'll make another plug here for a lot of the content that the chatbot related content that'll be coming your way in terms of guides for how to build them and kind of business benefits for a lot of the doer community out there. But anyways, thank you all so much for taking the time to sit with us today and learn about chatbots. And we'll look forward to talking with you again soon at the next Facebook Live event.